We'll speak now about a game I've lost in the Aeroflot Open 2016 against Rinat Khomavayev, a strong grandmaster from Kazakhstan. And well, it's a game where actually my opponent, from some move, he started to play super strong, and he gave me no chance at some point. Before that, I had a very good position, and apart from this, I have the score sheet here, which is very interesting to look at the exact times that I was spending during the game. And maybe we can see what happened exactly. Why did I lose this game? At some point I played very risky, and maybe that was the problem. But okay, anyway, let's go through the game and see what is going on with the times, because it's very interesting, I think, to speak about it. Okay, d4 d5. Well, basically I see here I have 1:38 on the clock, so I'm not really sure if I was late to the game or if I simply spent 2 minutes thinking about d5, but I think I just decided to play d5 before the game. And if you didn't decide, you should decide before the game what you're going to play. At least if he plays the main move he's playing, and he's a d4 player. So this is a little strange. And if you're late, and you're the kind of guy who gets into time troubles often, well, then you have a problem. And this is my case. Sometimes I'm late to the game, a little bit late. And just giving 2 minutes for nothing, it's not a good idea in general. So d5, spending 2 minutes is not good. Okay, let's move on. c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6. Okay, this is Slav. e3, bishop f5 is one of the common lines, of course. Bishop g4 is playable as well. Very solid, but okay, bishop f5. I used to play this a lot, this bishop f5. And I've worked a lot in this position many years ago when I was working with Topalov a little bit in his match with Vladimir Kramnik. And well, I felt comfortable with the ideas with both sides, so I thought I understand the position quite well. Okay, knight c3, e6, knight h4 is played nowadays all the time. And here I have checked both moves, of course. Well, bishop g4 is wrong. Probably it's a little bit worse, but bishop e4 or even bishop g6, which bishop g6 is the most solid move. In this game I played bishop e4 because I wanted to play a little bit more risky. I thought this is a very interesting game that I should try to win. It's an open tournament and the best prizes are on the first places, so playing a little bit more risky than usual is not a bad idea in general. I played f3, bishop g6, queen b3. This has been played lots of times. And here, queen c7, even I have played it myself. And if I'm not mistaken, I have played myself against even Magnus Carlsen with black. So it's a playable position, of course. This queen on c7 is looking at the h2 pawn, and sometimes even this move bishop d6 might come. It's an idea. And on the other hand, if you go to b6, then you sometimes need to worry about changing queens, which brings to more solid positions. And the idea of this game was to play more risky. So far, I'm playing pretty fast, I guess, because I'm not writing the times. He goes bishop d2, which is normal, and here I choose to play bishop e7. It's a very interesting move because this knight on h4, I want to force matters, and I want to force him to take on g6 so I can take hg6 and start attacking on the h-file. Okay, here he played rook c1, which is the most logical move, trying to take advantage of this idea of cd5, and then the rook will be with x-ray threatening the queen sometimes. And here is the first time I think for a while. And after this move, I was on 1:31, so it means I spent approximately 6-7 minutes in the next move. And well, it's such a logical move that it's hard to say much about it. I mean, there is not so much to think about. I've played knight bd7. It's the most obvious move. I don't even consider any options here. It's hard to find any other options. And well, you need to be aware of this trick now here, especially cd5 e d5, well, knight d5 is better actually, because, well, e d5 could be possible, but it's not forcing the knight to take a decision, so knight d5 is actually a little bit better. But what I wanted to point out was that after knight g6, hg6, you need to be careful with this trick, knight d5, e d5, and now queen d5, which wins a pawn right now because the queen is pinned. But there is this trick, rook h2 simply, and now we are attacking the rook, and after rook h2 we have a check on g3, and we win the game immediately here. For example, king d1, c d5, and there is a check here, which is funny, but still basically any move is correct, bishop f8 or something, and there is no time enough for white to get a huge attack here with bishop b4, bishop b5. It's just too slow. So this is basically winning for black. So actually this is the only thing you need to check a little bit carefully. But if you are a 2700 player, you should be able to do that in a couple of minutes, not more, because there is not so much to do, and it's a simple calculation. It's very forced line, and it's winning on the spot. So knight bd7 is a move that you don't want to think too long about it. Maybe 6-7 minutes is too much for that. Maybe 2-3 minutes it should be enough. Okay, he played g3 here, and here I thought for a very long time, which is kind of understandable, because of course now it's the position that well, it's after the opening exactly, and it's the moment where you need to understand what's happening exactly and which plan you're gonna do or something. But maybe it's a bit too much, because on the other hand, it's a position where nothing really so terrible is happening. There are a few moves that are relatively interesting here. I would mention a move like d takes c4, for example. It's a common idea. For example, after bishop c4, you can go something like castle. This is one idea. And the most logical idea is the one that I have played, actually. And it doesn't really seem to me that it's 19 minutes is too much. 19 minutes is too much. I think for this move, if you want to understand the position better or something, you can spend 5, 6, 7 minutes, but more than that, it's too much already. So 19 minutes is way too much. Although it's a good move, I like the move a lot. I'm forcing here to take white to take a decision. So basically, I want him to take a decision about the knight on h4, and I want him to take a decision about the pawn on c4. If he'll go c5, then I'll come back to d7, and then I'll have the ideas of playing with b6 or with e5, and I'll activate my pieces very well. If he doesn't do anything special here after knight b6, then I will just take on c4 everything, and I'll take the bishop on f1. I will take the white bishop, so it's very good, because his only real advantage here is that he's going to take my bishop on g6 most of the times, and this will give him a pair of bishops. But with knight b6, I want to take back the pair of bishops, and then I'll have a very, very solid position, of course. This structure is super solid with the pawns on d5, c6, e6. It's super solid. So he went for the most critical move, c d5, and now I play e d5, which is, of course, a natural move. As we mentioned before, knight f d5, trying to force things a little bit with this knight. But I think here is not that good, because knights normally don't connect very well, because one is both are using the same squares, and it's not so good to connect these pieces. Unlike rooks, actually, because rooks, for example, normally it's a good idea to connect them, but knights don't connect so well, actually. So hg6 here, and white has different nice moves, and it's not really clear that I'm getting a good position here. For example, a move like knight d2 I like. And now you're playing e4, and I need to come back with my knights already. So it looks not like a great idea. That's why e d5 just with the pawn, a very strong pawn on the center, just keeping it like this, and also the knights are protecting all kinds of tricks against my queen. On the other hand, of course, I'm not threatening bishop h4 yet, but this is not priority right now. He played king f2. It's a very typical Karpov move. He loves to play this move, Karpov, and of course the king here is very well protected with these pawns on e3, f3, g3, and will connect the rooks very soon. And it's not clear that the king will be better on g1 than on f2. But on the other hand, it's a move that computer normally doesn't like so much. Computer normally doesn't like these king moves. Not really sure why, but I mean, if Karpov likes it, we should give it a little bit of credit, actually. It's move 13, and I have after knight b6, okay, cd5, ed5 I played quickly, and here I have 1 hour 12, which means I'm basically spending my time a little bit too much I've spent so far, I think, because there was lots of moves that I knew from the opening, so I think it was not needed to spend that much. Anyway, I found the best move here, and it's a very logical move, and I have played it before in similar games, so I knew queen d7 is a very good approach here, because you escape from the tricks on the c-file, you escape from all kinds of tricks, and also the queen here will control a very good diagonal, and if this knight takes on g6 at some point, it can even use the f5 square. It's very interesting, and the knight from b6 now will never come to d7, but will come maybe through c8 and d6, and maybe to d5 or something, so it has different purposes. Here I think a normal move for him would be to go something like king g2 and then slowly maybe prepare e4 is the long-term idea for white. It's one of the ideas, but it's a very solid position for black. I think black is perfectly fine here. Even I wouldn't know where to castle. Both moves are interesting here. It's not easy, and even there is a move like bishop h5 sometimes, which is worth mentioning, because then this knight on the h4 makes no sense anymore, and it can run into trouble here with g5 sometimes, so it gets very sharp position. But anyway, he played here knight g2. I'm not a big fan of this move, actually, because it's not so clear to me that this idea with knight f4 is that strong that you should lose 2 tempos to do it. Of course, his idea is, well, just to play knight f4 and then maybe to play h4 so he can force me to do something about my bishop. I'll have problems with my bishop on g6. But on the other hand, there's lots of tempi, and the position is already, I mean, I have everything developed, so I can start to think about creating some real trouble for white. I think it's a little bit too optimistic, knight g2. I've played bishop d6. And actually, I've thought for long, if I don't remember badly, yes, I've thought for forever here. Well, not forever, but 11 minutes. But the problem is I thought for 11 minutes and I missed something really important. Because I was ready to play after knight f4 is his obvious move, and I was ready to play knight h5. And I've just missed a very simple trick. So I've spent lots of time thinking about bishop d6. And here I forgot to check knight d5, and it's a problem now because my king and my queen are in trouble. So if I go knight d5, cd5, then bishop b5 is winning. So, well, knight h5 is basically very bad, and I realized right now, so this probably made me spend lots of time again, because knight f4, yes, castle took me another 8 minutes exactly. Another 8 minutes. So basically, queen d7, 5 minutes. Bishop d6, took me 11 minutes. Now castle 8 minutes. So in this way, I'll be in time travel very soon. This way, I'll be in time travel very soon. Castle is a good move, and actually, it's a very logical one because I want to get rid of these tricks with knight d5. Here he played h4, and as I mentioned before, it's a common idea to play just g4 and try to provoke some move like h6 or something. But on the other hand, here there are a million interesting alternatives for black. There are lots of moves that are quite good. I wouldn't know which one is better, and I don't know. I have played knight h5, but a move like, for example, even bishop f4 is not that bad. I was very close to play this one because after ef4, I can simply go something like h5, and I stop his pawns from moving, and also it's not so easy for him to bring this knight from c3 to e5. It's this diagonal. It's very hard to find a way for the knight. It takes 4 tempi, and it's a lot. So I think actually black is perfectly fine here. This was simple, but there are other moves. Even h6. His idea in general is to take, and after fg6, well, position. Of course, positionally, white is better because he has 2 bishops and better structure. But on the other hand, his king is in a very compromised position. So actually, black has very nice play here. I like black's position as well. So I'm not really sure what's wrong with h6. Another idea he could have is to play just g4. But on the other hand, this attack here, he has the queen too far for helping this. For example, if he manages to open the h file, he might need another piece to create real problems. So I'm not really sure g4 is that strong, but of course interesting. It's in clear position. So basically I have lots of moves here, and it's hard to decide. And this took me another 12 minutes. And well, after these 12 minutes, I'm going down to 36 minutes. I'm on move 16, so there is basically 24 moves to come till I reach the time control, and I have 36 minutes left, which is nothing for this kind of position that is going to come now, because I'm basically with all the pieces on the board, and all the complications might come. It's true that my opponent was thinking a lot too, but on the other hand, you shouldn't care so much about that. Just take care about your time management. If your opponent thinks a lot, it's better for you. But don't take this as an excuse to think more. This is important. I've played knight h5, which is actually a piece sacrifice, and I was happy with it because I thought, as I said, I wanted to play risky, and I thought it will bring a position where it's hard to defend for white. But he started to play really good after this move, and I was like very surprised. Afterwards, when I checked the game also with the computer, I was like, wow, he played a very nice game, and he showed very, very nice skills here. Probably now I would say something else was recommended for black, but I think even right now I cannot blame myself for playing knight h5. I think it was a correct decision. So, well, after knight h5, bishop h5, he went g4. Of course, I was expecting this move, and I was ready to give my bishop here. Well, going back with the bishop doesn't help because now h5. But I was ready to give the bishop with bishop g4, fg4, and queen g4. And now there are lots of annoying threats for white, because I'm playing bishop g3 check, but also sometimes I can bring f5, f4, and I will be with a huge attack. I have 2 pawns by now, and his king is so weak. He played knight e2, which was kind of expected, because he wants to stop bishop g3. Another move could be to play something like bishop g2. And here, for example, knight c4, it actually makes things difficult for white. For example, let's say queen d1, and now there are many moves for black which are interesting. Even a move like f5 is not stupid at all. But also queen g3 check, king g1, and for example knight e3, and I'll have already 3 pawns, so I have full compensation for the piece. So after queen g4, knight e2, I have played knight c4. Another move was bishop e7, which is very interesting, of course, because this basically makes me win another pawn on h4. But on the other hand, he might try to escape with the king, for example. And if I take on h4, he will escape with king d1, and this creates a very unclear position. I have 3 pawns, but on the other hand, if he manages to organize his pieces, then I will be in trouble. So I have played knight c4, which is very interesting. And he realized very quickly that he has to get rid of this knight. This knight is way too strong. So he took rook c4. If he doesn't, then he'll be in trouble very soon. Let's say, for example, he plays rook c2. Then I have a million ideas that are very interesting. Even I can bring my rook to e8, for example. And he has too many weaknesses, and his king is way too weak. So okay, I played, of course he has moved 20 already. And after knight c4 I have 0.31, which means I have spent, after knight h5, I spent not so much time here, but okay, basically everything is forced. So knight h5 I have to take, g4 I have to take its only move, fg I have to take its only move, and knight e2 I have a little question here. I can go knight c4 or bishop e7, but my idea was in general to go knight c4 and force him to give me this change. So he took rook c4, dc4, queen c4. And here we reach a very interesting position where I have decided to play bishop e7, which is a very logical move, of course. Maybe other moves like rook a d8 are very interesting, but this move is very deep already, because it means that we agree that white will escape here through e1 d1, so I'm ready with the rook on d8 to create some trouble with maybe c5 or something. But this is already like really deep chess, and bishop e7 is not a bad move. And it has been played in 1 minute, so I think it was a very good decision anyway. He went, but from here on he started to play just like a perfect computer, and it's hard to play against a computer. I mean, they play very good. So he actually was super strong from here on. He went king e1. I went bishop h4. Maybe c5 was another interesting move, just to try to open up the position, because if he manages to organize his pieces, then he might create some trouble for my king. But I need to have some counterplay on his king as well. So that's why c5 is a move I like a lot. It was much more precise than taking on h4. And also taking on h4, it creates some trouble for myself, because it gives white some targets, like h7, for example. But I had a different idea in mind, and I took bishop h4. And one of my ideas was very interesting. It's to play simply h6 followed by bishop g5. So from here my bishop will attack on e3, and I can bring some rook to the e file and create some trouble there. And on the other hand, my pawn on h6 and my bishop on g5, they will block both files for the rook. So with these pieces he cannot attack me. So this was my idea actually, and it's quite interesting. He played here king d1, and maybe this next move that I've played, it's bad, and I totally missed his idea now. Rook e8, it looks so logical to me, really. Because I wanted to still keep my rook on f8, so I can protect my pawn on f7 sometimes. And also I didn't find that the rook on d8 will be very useful now, because it's very hard to play c5 anyway. But this was punished very strongly by him, and I could have played something like queen f3, and I think black's position is still decent. Rook h4, queen f1, king c2, and something like queen f6, And the game is just very unclear. The game is just very unclear. Anything can happen here. It's a double-edged position. Absolutely double-edged position. But here, I've played rook e8, and he went for a very strong move, queen d3. He will manage to organize his pieces very nicely here. Okay, my idea was to play h6 anyway, so I did it. It's move 25. I've played h6. I have 24 minutes. So in the last 10 moves, I spent around 10 minutes, which is it's pretty fast actually. It's good enough, and I'm not playing actually very bad, so it's not so terrible, let's say. Even actually one of the things that why I was playing a little bit too risky, it was because my opponent was in time trouble. I'm not writing down his time, but I remember perfectly that he was in time trouble. He had like 2-3 minutes only already. And that's why it's even more surprising that he found almost every best move. So he played king c2. He pins his pieces already. I went bishop g5 and he went knight c3. So he managed to actually coordinate quite well his pieces. Now he can start to move already the white bishop. His king is pretty safe, but also we need to say that black's position is very safe. So it's around equal, but it's quite dangerous for black. It can go wrong really fast here. Maybe the best move was to play something like rook e6 with different ideas like doubling rooks at some point or creating some threats with the queen somewhere. But I was happy. I thought this move is a good one, which I played. And I have played b5. Well, I'm seeing here that just a second, because after king c2, I have no idea why I've played bishop g5. Well, basically I realized my position is not as good as I thought. And that's why maybe it took me too much time to play bishop g5, but I don't see any other possibility. So basically, I thought, really, 8 minutes for bishop g5? This just makes no sense. This makes no sense because it's so obvious move. There are no other moves. The problem is I cannot go queen f3 now because he takes, and I think bishop b4 is just strong. No, it looks strong because my rook is trapped on f8. So basically, queen f3 is wrong, and bishop g5 is just super obvious move. It's a move you should play in this situation when you have 20 minutes left. You should play bishop g5 in 1 minute, not more. It's just very obvious move. Your bishop is in a bad position here, and here is in a great position, and there are no other options. What else do you want? So actually, I could give bishop g5 like as a mistake actually, because if you spent 11 minutes, it's actually a bad move. It had to be played in 1-2 minutes, not more. He went knight c3, and here it's a much more important position than the previous move, because now it's not so easy what to do. If the problem is if I go queen f3, it doesn't really help me a lot, because just rook h3 and the bishop now is protected on f1, and he'll protect e3 without problems. So I went here b5 in 2 minutes, and this is actually a mistake. And this is a move which is super risky, and I've played it in 2 minutes. And this means that I've been managing my time badly in this game. Because, well, bishop g5 could have been played in 2 minutes, and then in this move I will spend 10 minutes. It should have been done the opposite way around. And let's see how quickly my position went totally bad for me. He went just bishop e2, which is the best move again. It's true that he's playing super strong. He's just finding all the best moves. I went queen e6. I thought here, this b5 idea, that I will create some chances with b4 or c5 at some point. I'm attacking also the e3 pawn, so I thought I'm actually doing quite okay. But again, I think I've missed the strength of this move. Bishop f3 is such a strong move, because now I cannot take on e3. because simply rook e1, and I'm pinned and I'm losing the bishop. So bishop e3 is bad. And I realized here something went wrong. It's already a difficult position for me, because b5 is actually not really helping me. If I try to go b4, then knight e4, and this is what I didn't expect, that the knight will come so quickly here to the center, attacking my bishop and creating real problems immediately. So b4 was also bad. So I didn't know what to do already. I was a little bit in trouble here. I've played a5 in 2 minutes, which is a decent move, but so far I had left 10 minutes and there is 11 moves to be played already till the time control. And here he gave me a chance finally, because he has been playing very strong so far. But here he didn't play the best move. There was a couple of moves that are maybe a little bit stronger than what he did. He could have played king b1, for example, just keeping the king in a safe position, stopping a2, any problems on a2, and just at some point knight e2 might come. But he went d5. And here I made actually a mistake. Well, no, I mean, I evaluated badly, but I mean, I'm forced to take basically on d5. So I mean, it's not that I made a mistake immediately, but I just felt the pressure too much here. And the problem is I started just already to panic a little bit, because it's okay, cd5 I have to play. I've played it fast enough at least. cd5, bishop d5. And here I have panicked, because my position is still very playable, but I need to play with very much of, with lots of precision here, and I didn't. Well, queen c8 was probably the only move. And the idea is that, well, if queen b5 I take on e3, and if I'm threatening, of course, b4 now, and if he goes king b1, rook e5 is a wonderful move, and this is what I have missed, because rook on e5 is protecting my bishop on g5, and it's also maybe creating trouble on d5 at some point. And I think here is actually pretty playable for black. It's not that bad, but the problem is it's a move which you need to actually find. If you don't find queen c8, then you're in big trouble. And the problem is when you don't have the time enough, or you don't feel the position is so bad after. So I basically played queen b6 in 3 minutes, and the game is over. But if I would have gone queen c8, let's say I had half an hour here instead of 10 minutes, would I find queen c8 or not? It's hard to say, but basically the probabilities go up a lot. The probabilities of finding a good move when you have much more time is much better. So now we can start to regret in the opening when I've played, for example, knight b6 in 19 minutes or something like that, or I was spending 8 minutes and then next move 10 minutes and like this. And now it's a very critical position where actually not every move is good. Just one move is saving the game, the others are maybe basically losing. And now I have 10 minutes and you feel the pressure already. So I didn't want to get down to 2 minutes, and that's why I played in 3 minutes now. But 3 minutes for this position it's hard to find the best move. And I played queen b6, and basically now again I have missed something, because knight e4 is so strong. This is what he played. I expected something else, I don't know, like e4 or something. e4, then I have compensation. I don't know, I have some b4 ideas and rook c8 at some point, and well, it gives me some interesting ideas. But knight e4 is very strong actually. Just trying to take the bishop on g5. And here again I made a mistake, and well, he's playing with 2 minutes and he's playing perfectly, and I'm playing with more time than him, and I'm making little inaccuracies and then bad moves as well. I mean, of course this is not going to happen on every game, but here just happened like that, and I ran into time trouble in the end. I moved 32 and I'm already down to 5 minutes approximately. And I had again one last chance to try to fight. It was rook e5, which is similar idea like before, but with the queen on c8, we were winning a tempo because we didn't give the idea of knight e4 so quickly. So after bishop c3, I could have tried to maybe give the rook here on d5 and to play something like rook d8 or something. I mean, this might give me some little chances to save the game, but of course I'm in trouble here with black anyway. So basically queen b6 was just too bad. But what I did just loses immediately, so rook e5 was still better. I played bishop e7. Once more he plays the best move, bishop c3, which is very logical, of course. He wants just to kill me as soon as possible. Well, basically now it's completely over. I cannot stop moves like rook g1 and g7 is hanging. I don't have this place for my bishop anymore. This place on g5 was wonderful, but now it's gone, so it's just totally lost. I have played queen g6, which is losing immediately, but it doesn't really matter anymore. He played just knight a6 check, and I gave my queen. Well, basically if I take on c3, he goes queen g6, and it's over. So I've taken with the queen, and well, the rest is just not very interesting actually. It's just completely lost. I'm queen down for a rook, but I've played till move 40 because I was a little bit depressed probably. And so after few moves, okay, he played move 41 and I resigned. And well, so this game was actually not so bad because at some point I created real trouble for him, I think. But well, some little decisions made me in the end fall into a position where it was hard to find the only move. And I would say not arriving in time, these 2 minutes, and then in the opening, this 2-3 moves where I have spent like 19 minutes, 10 minutes, 8 minutes. This was one of the keys of the game. In the end, this time was very important. And of course, maybe I have played too risky also. Of course, you're playing with fire if you give a piece for some pawns and play in some very a little bit crazy way, of course. So in the end, I mean, it can happen that you lose the game, especially if your opponent plays very strong. I mean, almost all his moves from move 25 till 40 are computer moves at best. So it's normal to lose, and no, I think it's a good game in general. I'm not so unhappy about it. I think it's a decent game. You can lose games like this. It's not so terrible. It's gonna happen sometimes. Well, thanks for watching. I've shown some games where my opponent was really inspired. Well, what can you do about it? I mean, for me, actually, these are the easiest games to handle when you lose to a very inspired opponent. Luckily, this is not gonna happen very often. And well, at least what I will do is try to think positive. Maybe in the future you can get famous because of this game. Because, well, actually, I can say I've lost beautiful games, and it was good to be part of a good game, even if you lost such a game. So losing is not that terrible. Okay, thanks.
Hi, this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, the 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from onlinechesslessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending, and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damian for onlinechesslessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.